This has been used for the last several years by law enforcement and government agencies around the world to reduce stress before they go into a crisis situation.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Decoded. I'm so excited for you guys to meet Ron. He uses evidence-based protocols for neuroscience and quantum physics, and he uses it to help business owners reduce stress and make just better decisions in their life. So he's very articulate, and he has all of these great strategies to teach us today. So I'm so excited for him to be on with me. So Ron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really great, but one of the things I really need to tell you is that it's literally going to be impossible to reach your goals long as you're dealing with stress.
Yeah, that seems like that's a true statement right there, because a lot of people are inhibited by their stress because it can really create a pressure on specifically entrepreneurs, but regular people as well, as it just really inhibits what they can do and their potential. So I'm glad that you are here and are able to show us how to reduce that stress. I'm very excited about that. So before we get into all of that, I would love to hear your story. So who were you, and what was your life like before you decided to become this expert in helping business owners every day?
It was during the last recession, 2008, 2009. I was doing consulting for small to medium-sized businesses that were, during the recession in trouble. And very quickly, I realized there was a pattern that I was able to recognize, and that is the more stress the owner and the employees were in, the worse shape the business was in. And you have to understand where the stress comes from. When there's uncertainty, when there's fear, when things aren't working the way you want, your brain triggers the fight, flight, freeze response, which is known as the stress response. It's hardwired into our brain. As you might already know, it came from caveman days when there was real physical danger. So it was an automatic trigger to create the cortisol so we could either fight, flight, or freeze and get eaten. So the interesting thing is today most of us don't deal with the physical danger. That mechanism's still in place. So if we're dealing with fear, if we're dealing with uncertainty, it creates stress. That stress is triggered in the body. Now, the interesting thing is the body's resilient. So it adapts to the stress. We don't even know oftentimes we're under stress. But here's one of the keys. When your brain is in that stress response mode, neuroscience has shown that your brain only focuses on your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses. Just not a good place to make decisions of any kind, short-term or long-term. So this is what I discovered working with these small businesses. Now, it's kind of funny because I developed these stress protocols and I was able to teach them, and where they were open and it really took hold, we were able to make great progress and turn quite a few businesses around. But it was funny because I didn't realize a few years later I would need that to almost literally save my life. You see, during that recession, my wife had lost her job. Like most families, we were a two-income household, and that's what we were living on. So with losing one income, it didn't take only but a matter of months before we were unable to pay our mortgage. We went through our savings and a lot of our retirement to try to save our home, which didn't work. We lost our home. Just about the time we lost our home, I had a former client reach out to me and asked me if I'd come work for him full time as opposed to consulting. And of course I said yes, because it was an opportunity to reestablish both my wife and I's income in a stable, very highly profitable, lucrative environment, which was gas and oil. But 5 months later, even though it was a lucrative, high profit industry, I didn't realize the volatility. Oil and gas prices nosedived. They closed the fields. 5 months later, the man I was working for literally had to let almost all of his 80 employees go, including me. I'll never forget that drive home to my wife, who was still unemployed at the time. And I had to look her in the eye and tell her I'd lost my job. At that point, it was as if we both had gone into shock. Because here's what we were facing. She was unemployed. We had about $1,000 in the bank. Our only vehicle needed a transmission. And in 2 weeks, we didn't have money to pay our rent. We'd be homeless. It was disbelief. How did we get here? We did everything. We played by the rules. We did everything society said to do. And here we are, well-educated, successful careers and businesses in our history, about to be homeless. It was about 2 days before we literally could engage in conversations. And when we did, I realized what I used to help these businesses just a few years ago, I need it now. So I began to apply some of the stress techniques, and I was able to back the stress off enough that I reached out to another client and got a job. So we had some traction. But the thing about stress is, as you know, it doesn't go away forever. It'll come back. But the point is, I got enough traction to back the stress off. So even after I got the job, I was still dealing with stress, and I was also dealing with guilt, self-depression. How did I get here? I was beating myself up. That's where the neuroscience the quantum physics really came in to help me. Because it was through the quantum physics that I realized I created that entire scenario for me. Just like each and every one of us create our life, no matter how bad or how good it is. We and we alone are responsible. And that is where I've built my coaching practice, on helping people get their stress under control and then teach them and show them how to create what they want, create the life of their dreams.
Wow, that's an amazing story. I really appreciate you sharing that with me and kind of guiding people as they watch or listen to this, just your journey and how you like you said, you were doing so well, and then all of a sudden everything just crashed and crumbled, and you were going to be homeless in like a month. So that's crazy. It's an amazing story. So with all of this, the stuff that you learned with the quantum physics and the neuroscience, were those the only things that are like helping you relieve stress? Were those the only things that kind of helped you keep going, or were there other motivating factors that just kept you going to, get another job and find that other opportunity that was going to help you get out of the hole you were in?
Absolutely, because one of the things I realized, Alex, was it's very, very important not to lose your vision, your dream. Where do you want to be? And this vision is what was the long-term motivating factor. And most people have a vision. They have a dream, whether it's, living in a nice home, being financially independent, having satisfying, fulfilling, creative work, living in abundance, prosperity, having the best friends you could ever, however you define it, it's okay. But that was the real motivating factor to know I needed to work more. But it was the quantum physics where I learned the actual step-by-step process where we create our life. We were told that there was a time when the word was spoken and worlds were created. We were also told that we were created in that same image and likeness of the Creator. Our power of the spoken word is that creative ability. But we're at a disadvantage because we've never been taught how to use it. So we use it haphazardly. There are a few immutable laws that we have here on planet Earth. One, for example, is gravity. You don't have to believe in it. It's going to keep you on the Earth so you don't float into space. The other one is, and I hesitate to use the phrase, but for lack of a better phrase, the law of attraction. And I hesitate because it has some baggage to it because it's misunderstood. But what it essentially says is what we focus on, what we talk about, and what we think about, especially if we put emotions into it, is what we're going to create in our life, positively or negatively. If we're into fear, if we're worrying we're not going to have money to pay a bill and, we don't see any way out and, we've tried everything, you're not going to have money to pay that bill. At the same time, if you focus on your abundance, on your prosperity, and you take steps in that direction, it can't just be wishful thinking. That's what I want to be clear on. You do have to take action. You can create that abundance in your life. You can create that health, that relationship, that business. And it's an incredible, positive, and powerful tool once we learn all the pieces and how to put them together. And that's what I teach.
Wow. Personally, I've kind of gone through the law of attraction too. I have parents who really believe in it strongly. And I actually, it took me a long time to figure it out that it actually was true. And being able to create your own life based on what you think and believing that what you believe and what you think will reproduce itself into your physical reality is something that is hard to grasp at first, but once you see it firsthand, it's amazing. So that's really awesome that you actually teach that. So when you work with businesses and entrepreneurs and those kinds of people, what are the kind of the biggest challenges they face to either believing in these systems or just trying to get out of their own head? What is like the main challenges they face?
The couple things that are pretty consistent in that whole scenario is a lot of them have formed bad habits. One of the first things I do is help them set up good habits. For example, a morning routine is very important. When you're asleep, your mind stops thinking. You're not putting out any resistance to what you want. When you wake up, if the first thing you do is check your email, check your phone, get into that stuff, you're going to get yourself into a downward spiral. So we have to set up a protocol where you get up, you do a little meditation or a breathing technique as something simple to make sure the stress is under control. You write your intentions, do a little exercise, physical exercise if you can, to get the blood rolling, and start your day off on a very positive note. And then there's things you can do to reinforce that all throughout the day. So it's forming new habits and showing them through example and explanation how they have created the situation they're in. And so we dig a little bit deeper into what they say, what they believe, and what they think.
Wow, that's really awesome. Excuse me. So when you work with entrepreneurs, you're forming habits and you're building that connection with people. Have you feel like, especially during COVID, I've kind of been asking people, have you been affected in just like creating those relationships and helping people that way? Or do you feel like you can still are able to do that even with online technology?
Most of the coaching I do is online. I prefer to be in person, but that's not always practical. For example, I have a lady, a nutrition and dementia coach that I work with in Toronto. I have a lady in Boston. I have a trucking company in Amarillo. So almost the point is almost everything's online now anyway. So it's really not a hindrance. What's really important is, and what I do is build trust. People are kind of fed up with all the experts online. I have to establish trust and the fact that I am an expert and I can help them. That's the first criteria. But more specifically to your point, there's a lot of people looking for help. The economy's changed. What marketing and strategy you used in your business in 2019 just aren't going to work now. And because this economy is still in a state of flux, you need to be flexible enough to be able to pivot in the coming years, because it's not going to stay like this. You know, there was a lot of money that was put into the economy, trillions of dollars. And basic economy is going to tell you that we're going to be dealing with some inflation down the road. So you have to insulate your business around this. So this is what I help them do. But where we start, Alex, is with their vision. What do you want to achieve? What's that vision? Where are you with your values? You have to make decisions based on your values. You know, most people's, one of their top values is autonomy. They want the freedom to live the life they want to live, to, you know, have the income, to have the stability, not to be a slave to their work and their business. So those values are important. So we take those two items and redetermine, okay, where exactly are you? Let's be honest, where are you with these things? From there, we put together a plan to help them reach these goals. And combined with the stress reduction protocols, the other element that we add is using their intuition. Once you back the stress off and the thoughts slow down, you now have access to your intuition, which is your problem-solving aspect. It can help you give you guidance. And there's research that shows that when you combine current data that's available along with your intuition, your success rate could be as high as 87%. And this is what some very prominent people contribute their success to. Oprah, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, they have come out and said publicly, we use our intuition to make these decisions, and that's what's helped us.
That's awesome. I didn't know that about all those successful people, that they use, you read about it and they kind of give you tips and clues here and there, what they use and what they do to become successful. But a lot of times you don't hear that. It's just like their gut feeling, their intuition that really moves forward. So do you feel like with business owners and actually pretty much anyone, do you feel like that's like the top ability that we have as humans, is to use our intuition? Or do you feel like there's something else that is like a really awesome ability that people have that is also hindered by stress?
There are three parts. I'm going to give you a 3-part answer. With a stress under control, you have access to your intuition. Everyone has it. It's always working. I teach how to use intuition on demand combined with a stress reduction. But the one most powerful aspect of the 3 is your ability to focus on what you want with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Because it's the power of the spoken word that basically are empowered with your emotions. The emotions are our guidance system. If you're feeling good, then your resistance is low. You're on track to getting whatever you've been putting out. Okay? If you're in fear, if you're worried, if you're uncertain, that's resistance. So all the good stuff that you've put out there is sitting here, and all of a sudden it gets bombarded with all the negative stuff, and it doesn't even have to be related. It's just about feeling. So you're going to neutralize it. So it's going to take a longer time to get there, or you just may not get there. And the key emotion to getting anything you want is being in a constant state of gratitude, appreciation, and happiness.
Awesome. I think a lot of people need to hear that when they remove all the barriers and all the obstacles, the fear, the judgment, and the stress, that they can accomplish anything and they can do anything. So I'll just ask a few more questions, and I think we talked about last time that you would do an exercise with us, and then
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. But I'm just curious because you have so much expertise and you've so much ideas and all the stuff that you've been learning, the neuroscience, the law of attraction, all these different things. Where was the place that you learned that? I'm just curious.
A lot of it was some of my own research into neuroscience and quantum physics. The main body of knowledge came from my coaching certification. The coaching certification is Infinite Possibilities, the Art of Creating Your Dream. And that is where I learned the quantum physics aspects, the power of the spoken word, the emotion, which is a tremendous catalyst to your thoughts, your words, and your action. But just remember, it's a double-edged sword, positively or negatively. But yeah, that's my coaching certification. And that is what I've used to develop it, and then complemented it with more neuroscience techniques.
Great. So I guess if anyone wants to become a coach or learn from you, then that's the idea. That's where it happens. So thank you for sharing that. So
I just wanted to add one slight thing, and that is that my passion is to teach this, but teach it in such a way that people can teach it to their employees, to their family, especially their children. If we were taught this when we grew up, the power of our word and thoughts to create whatever we wanted in life, a heartfelt community, positive sense of relationship with everyone in the world. Just imagine what power this could have to change the world. So that's my passion. I just wanted to add that. That is why I really like what I do.
Yeah, that's amazing. I bet you helped so many people, like, just find themselves and find what they're passionate about too. So I can tell just, hearing you, listening to your voice of talking about this, that you are very passionate about it, and you do help so many people and bring so much value. So I appreciate what you've been doing, and I'm excited to learn more about you, and I hope people will just reach out and do the same thing too. So Just one more question, kind of just overall with everything that you've learned. I always ask just people who are successful, who have been to the bottom, have gotten to the top, what would be your advice for people who either want to be a coach or want to start entrepreneurship? What advice could you give them to help them just keep motivated, keep going if they feel like that's a path that they should be going on?
Start that path, whatever it is, even if it's a career. Start it with educating yourself on the how to create this future, how to create your life. And I'll tell you, the first thing you need to do is get your stress under control. Otherwise, your direction is going to be cloudy. In fact, if I can I take your audience through that stress exercise?
Yeah, let's go.
There's one that I really like. It's my go-to stress exercise, and I affectionately call it the 60-second stress buster. This has been used for the last several years by law enforcement and government agencies around the world to reduce stress before they go into a crisis situation. When they go into these, particular events and circumstances, they're typically armed. So you want them to be very, very clear so they can make the right decision if they have to. Let me explain this process. It's a combination of breathing and visualization. I'll tell you about it, and then I'll actually take you through it. You're going to breathe in to a 4 count through your nostrils. You're going to see the air come through your nose and down into your lungs. You're going to do that to a 4 count. You're going to hold the breath in your lungs, see it circulating to a 4 count. You're going to watch that breath come out through your nostrils to a 4 count, and you're going to see that breath disappear right before your eyes to a 4 count. That's going to be just about 16 seconds, and we're going to do it 4 times. Before we start, I want everyone to scan their body and just see where you might be holding stress. Some people hold it in their forehead, around their eyes, their neck, their shoulders, their chest, their back. Everyone's different. So don't try to do anything. Just be aware of it. The next thing, observe your thoughts. Are your thoughts racing a mile a minute? Are you having a positive thought morning, a negative thought afternoon? Whatever the case might be. Are you thinking this guy's crazy, this stuff will never work? Whatever your thoughts are, it's okay. Don't try to change them. If you're in a safe place, you can close your eyes to do this, but it works with your eyes open as well. So let's start. Let's breathe into a 4 count. Ready? Breathe in through the nostrils. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it in. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 4. Hold it out. 2, 3. Breathe in. 2, 3. Hold it in. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it in. Breathe out. Hold it out. One more time. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it in. 2. Breathe out. 2, 4. Hold it out. That was just about 60 seconds. And Alex, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you feel a change in your body?
Yeah, I think it was, I keep pressure in my chest a lot, maybe. So I felt a release when I did that. Like I visualized what you said, like air going in, staying in the lungs, and then going back out, and then just like visualizing that and concentrating on that, and then breathing nicely. I feel a little bit more relaxed and just calmer in places that I didn't feel had tension. So
good. And how about your thoughts?
Well, I was kind of listening to you the most of the time, so I feel like my brain was a little less calm than probably some other people, but it's pretty quiet right now, so it's pretty nice.
The research shows 95% of the people who do this will get very, very positive results. And here's here's how you really can take advantage and leverage this technique. Use it as a part of your morning routine or evening routine before you go to bed. In the morning, it helps get you calm to start your day. At the end of the day, it helps you release whatever stress or tensions that you may have picked up. What I ask a lot of my clients to do is set their timer on their phone every 2 hours. Stop whatever you're doing and do this exercise. When clients have done this maybe 3-4 days, maybe longer, maybe less, everyone's different, your cells have a certain memory. So your body is going to go into this state very easily. And what people tell me is 2 to 3 o'clock, that afternoon crash goes away. They don't have that crash. Their energy is consistent all throughout the day. And back in the day when people were still driving home from work, they said they had energy when they got home to go to the gym, to make dinner, to be with their family. So it's helps smooth your energy out all throughout your day. And the nice thing, as we mentioned a little earlier, when you've calmed your body and your mind, you now have open access to your intuition. So that's one of the techniques that I use to help people learn intuition on demand. So that is kind of my go-to exercise. It works eyes open, eyes closed. And one last note, you can do this for more than a minute. If you have the time and if you want to experiment, try it for 5 minutes. When I first learned this exercise, the first week I did it for 5 minutes, the next week 10 minutes. I worked up to 30 minutes. And it was pretty amazing. But I got to tell you, if you do that, there's one warning. Be gentle with yourself. Your mind will drift. I promise you. Any meditation, be gentle because your mind's going to drift. Gently bring yourself back to the breathing and the visualization and get back on track. And the results are awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a little bit more relaxed now, and I would advise people to do that just because even if, like you said, it's just a minute a day or a couple times a day, and you're working towards building that up a little bit, it'll help. So I'm very thankful for that, and I'm very glad that I was able to meet you finally and just go through this talk, learn about you. I really appreciate you giving me your time today. So if everyone watching, listening, I hope you did that exercise, and if you need it, this video will be here always, so you guys can go through and do it again. So if you want to get in touch with Ron, his information is down below. And then real quick, as you guys know, that my ebook's now live, so my Secret Success Guide is just there. You guys can get it down below too. And Ron, thank you again. I really appreciate you giving me your time.
Alex, thank you. Before I go, I'd like to give a gift to your audience, anyone who wants it. In addition to being on Alex's podcast, if you're interested in this video for your own personal use, you can get it at www.goldentrailcoaching.com/gift. It's the easiest URL you'll ever remember, www.goldentrailcoaching.com/gift, and you can have a free copy of this video. So I really appreciate you, Alex. I'm grateful for being on your show, and I've enjoyed talking with you.
Yes, thank you again.